Welcome, one and all, to yet another edition of Escape from Walt Disney, the podcast where we review movies, TV shows, and short films available on the Disney Plus streaming service, chosen completely at random. I'm your host, Tony Goldmark. Joining me once again is Morgan Funder.
Hello.
And we've got two very special guests joining us for the very first time this week. You know them from such YouTube series as Art Theory in Disneyland and Theme Snark. You know them from their many appearances in my videos over the last decade or so. And more than anything, you know them as the cutest married couple that has ever existed. Ladies and gentlemen, Charlie and Haley Callahan.
Yay.
Hello.
How you guys doing?
We are about to weep.
Yes, the movie the randomizer has chosen for us this week is the 2006 Disney Channel original movie, Read It and Weep. What do you guys know about this movie? Has anyone ever seen it?
I have not. This was way after my time in terms of when I was watching any sort of Disney Channel things. And even then, I never watched any Disney Channel original movie. In fact, I was a year out of high school when this thing came out. I was already employed by Toys R Us, which is already an antiquated statement.
Speak up, Sonny. Where's my tapioca?
My family stopped getting the Disney Channel in 2001 when we went to limited cable. So there was like a media blackout between 2001 and 2012 when I started working at a yogurt shop that had the Disney Channel on constantly, where I had no idea what the channel was doing, but this feels very in line with what it was doing towards the end of the time I watched it.
So no one in this room has ever seen this movie. Charlie, read the details for us, if you would, in your announcer voice.
When her journal is accidentally published and becomes an overnight success, Jamie cannot help but get caught up in her newfound celebrity status. Between book signings, interviews, and her new boyfriend, Jamie struggles to find a balance between her old life and her new one. She doesn't want to lose her friends or change who she is, but she can't escape But she can't escape. There's supposed to be a what there.
So
ISIS?
Is this the Clinton trial where we go over what is?
Is.
That's just ISIS.
Isabella.
But keep going.
But what she can't escape is the star of her novel and her alter ego, who is pushing her to embrace her life as a celebrity. Duration, 1 hour, 25 minutes. Release date, 2006. Genre, drama, coming-of-age comedy. Rating, TVG. Available in the following formats. HD 5.1. Director, Paul, should I stop?
Director, someone you've never heard of, starring a bunch of people you've never heard of. Like, not even Disney Channel stars. I've never heard of any of these people.
Danielle Panabaker is now in The Flash.
Oh, okay.
She's one of the main supporting cast for The Flash.
I know the joke for a while about Disney Channel stars was that they all looked the same, and the Disney machine had a very specific formula for churning out their talent.
Absolutely.
And that didn't
And
necessarily
still does.
translate to adult talent all
Right.
the time.
Well, they needed to be triple threats, but they needed to be triple threats in a very specific way.
And so many of them turned out being like Sarah Lynn and BoJack Horseman, where they just...
Oh, yeah, so many. We consider Justin Timberlake one of the lucky ones.
You could make a whole big playlist of former Disney Channel stars' big "I'm an adult now" songs, you know, like Wrecking Ball and shit like that.
Yeah.
Oh, God, Wrecking Ball. Oh, yeah, she looks like a Disney star. It's like, sorry, we're seeing a picture of her. And
It's so 2006.
It's so 2006.
There's jewels in her hair. She's got like the two little tendrils instead of bangs.
Yeah, she's got that.
Remember the two little tendrils? I used to try and get those
I used to
all
play
the time.
bass for Two Little Tendrils.
It's the hair.
She's
I
got
remember
the
hair.
That boy in the background has a bowl cut.
She's got the frozen icicle necklace.
He's got the best friend bowl cut. He's not going to be the love interest.
It's like a surfer guy bowl cut.
He looks like Ron Weasley, but blonde in Goblet of Fire.
Yeah.
So the plot of this is about a teenage girl who gets her journal accidentally published and becoming a bestseller. So it's the Anne Frank story.
Or it's Dr. Jekyll and Viral Hyde.
Shall we?
I hope this one has Nazis too.
Dare I say, shall we read it and or weep?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Something's gonna happen.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will watch Read It and Weep, and we will be back in a moment to tell you our thoughts on it here on Escape from Walt Disney.
Dun dun dun.
just watched Read It and Weep, first aired on the Disney Channel July 21st, 2006. That was exhausting. That movie was approximately 19 hours long, or at least it felt like it.
I have aged 10 years since this movie started.
There was a moment when I asked them to check how far along we were, because I could have sworn we were at least an hour into it. We were 20 minutes into it.
Yep.
Every scene feels 3 times longer than it is.
That is something that happens in overly faithful adaptations of books where they feel like they need to hit every single thing that happens in the book rather than condense it down.
I can't even imagine that this was that faithful to its source material, because it is based on a book. I forget the name of the book, but in the opening credits it said, based on the book,
How My Diary became a
How My
national
Diary
bestseller.
became a bestseller. I imagine it's some YA book. But this movie felt so Disney Channel. I can't imagine the book was that much like this.
I'm going to start my critique with a question to all of you. Because I was in high school in 2006. I was 16. Was any of y'all's high school experiences half as cliquey as portrayed in this movie?
No.
Not even close, no.
None whatsoever. And I was the demographic for this movie. So this lives and dies on the premise that high school is Mean Girls, and not in the sort of meta you are mean to your friends way that Mean Girls is. It's in that stereotypical high school caste system way.
And this was post Mean Girls. This was 2
Yes.
years after Mean Girls. So there is no excuse for it to be this stereotypical
It carries
in one note.
every hallmark because it's a cheap thing to do in a story for teenage girls.
Right. It
It's
does.
a very
It's-
cheap world building.
Honestly, what this did was take Mean Girls and just water it down.
One of the first notes I wrote down was Mary Sue, because it is very much that type
Well, it's
of...
literally a movie about a self-insert character.
Well, yeah.
And
well,
I'm not going to fault its premise.
No, I'm
Because
not.
I think there's something there where this girl writes a diary that's not a chronicle of her life. It's a chronicle of how she wants her life to be. I have been that girl.
Yes.
In high
Sure.
school. And then that
Everyone
diary...
writes fan fiction.
And then that diary gets out into the world, and she has the burden of becoming this power fantasy that she wrote that's
Yeah.
not even really a thing she wanted to exhibit to the world. This is the Kids Bop version of Colette, is what we're saying. I'm not going to fault the movie for its premise. I'm going to fault it for using lazy-ass world building, because not only is there the very stereotypical cliquey group that gets no inner life or monologue, the main character, who is a cool girl who is not like other girls, secretly wants to be a popular girl. Which
The closest thing the popular girls get to an inner life is that one scene where the popular girl calls the main character and says, "Hey, do you want to hang out at the mall or something?" Yeah, sure. And then it just cuts back to the popular girl going, "Okay, see you then, bye." And then she has a brief moment of,
Like,
the best-selling
yeah,
author I
sweetie.
go to school with is hanging out with me. Like, that was the closest thing.
The popular girl in this movie, that actress, plays a much more believable, genuine friend than a bitch. I don't
Probably,
believe her
yeah.
as a bitch, but I believe her as a genuine friend. She seems quite
the
nice.
thing is, she gets the scene where she gets to spell out for the main character all the crappy stuff she did, and she's not wrong in that scene. She's
played
like,
as
you
a-
made us all into overly reductive stereotypes, and
Because
how
it's
are
a-
we supposed to feel about that?
I actually kind of disagree with that. I don't think the main girl really did anything wrong, because she's just writing her personal journals. It got sent to the teacher accidentally, and then it
The
got
point-
public. How did the
Okay,
things in this movie
here's
happen?
what
I'm
happens, and
sorry.
here's where I'm going to dive into the ethics of this.
Okay.
She accidentally sent her diary instead of her essay to her friend to print out and turn in.
Right.
The winning essay in this essay contest got published in a paper, like a kid's
So it did
educational
get
paper.
published without her consent.
Right. But then she got a book deal.
Right.
Now, where the ethics thing comes into question, and this is frankly where the parents' ethics should have come into question, is the book deal. She should have not taken the book deal, because that's when you start owning your private thoughts becoming public.
See,
everything before that was an accident.
See, I kind of disagree with that, because look how long it took Lindsay Ellis to get a book deal. If you've got that opportunity pushed in front of your nose, take it.
It also comes down to the terms of the book deal.
She changed everybody's name. It's
She
like,
should have also rewritten it.
Yes,
Because
she
that's
should
what
have-
happens when
she-
you get a book deal, is you get an editor to help you rewrite the manuscript and make it better.
You can also change the characters around and make them less likely to get you in trouble.
And
if
that's
people
the point
they're based on ever read
But
the
that's
book.
not what the movie wanted to focus on.
The only thing the main character did wrong is having a fucking mental breakdown on a talk show where she suddenly realizes, wait a minute, my self-insert character was a self-insert character? What?
And double booking her appointments.
And then lets it slip that the mean popular girl was the inspiration for the mean popular girl in her book. It unravels into, oh, everyone in the school was a metaphor for someone. And then there's a scene where she's in the cafeteria and they're all just shunning her. It's like, you fucking easily offended butthurt dipshits. Let her be an author, for God's sake. Let her have some creative license. Who gives a fuck?
We called the mean popular girl mean and cliquish. And you gonna refute that, honey? You got some receipts to show us?
It's like,
Or
wait,
is that-
you called us the clones? We say in perfect unison. The jock's like, you think I'm the big guy with the tiny brain? Even though it's kind of affirming, like, yes, that is all these people
Or
are.
all there needed to be was a scene in there where popular girl confronts main character and she'd been like, that's how you acted to me.
Yeah.
You didn't show a different side of yourself until much later. All you saw was a mousy geek and you treated accordingly. So that's all I knew when I wrote it, and they could have had a moment.
I mean, for fuck's sake,
clarity.
there's 80 bazillion goddamn scenes in this movie. They could have done 80 bazillion in one.
Even taking in mind that her perspective on her schoolmates is unflattering, why is any of that so damaging, besides that she sees you as a bad person because that's all she ever saw from you? It reminds me of a movie that I watched a lot when I was a kid, Harriet the Spy. Which actually did confront
The
the
member
fact
berries.
that the Harriet the Spy was about this girl who was this compulsive journaler whose journals
Harriet
are...
the Spy was a movie about a child with anxiety who was severely bullied for it, and it was too real for me at the age of 6.
Yeah. Harriet the Spy is dark, y'all.
I have not watched it since I was 6 years old, because there is a moment where she loses every friend she's ever had, and she goes on this nihilistic binge, ruining everyone's life, and that is too real.
Wasn't Rosie O'Donnell in that?
Yes,
Yep.
she played
And
the,
Eartha Kitt.
But that was a story that was actually about writing. What made Harriet's journals so destructive as a storytelling device is that because she was always watching everyone, she was privy to all of their uncomfortable secrets. Things that people actually don't want to come
And
out.
it's not anything she makes a judgment value about, going with the kid with anxiety thing. It's just a thing she sees.
'Cause
And
she
when
was
they
a-
were taken from her consent and read in bad faith, all people hear is judgment, because that's what society does.
Yeah.
But that's too nuanced for this movie. It's just
Way
like,
too nuanced for this.
oh, we're angry because you made fun of us because no one in the school could take a joke.
One of my personal pet peeves is when there's a story about a writer, but the writing part of it is clearly a metaphor for something else. And in this case, the fact that the main character is a writer who is apparently always writing and always journaling and has whole bookshelves of her stuff in her room sort of has nothing to say about writing. If anything, it portrays the perils of getting famous and then being mean to people.
And by the way, when we do actually see glimpses of her writing, it sucks. It's
not
not
very good.
good writing. It feels like a teenager in high school wrote it. It doesn't feel like anything
Well,
that would
not
ever
even-
get published, let alone be a bestseller.
It
Not
feels
even
like
in-
things that are written solely for herself.
Well,
thing-
not
I've
even a high
written those
schooler,
fanfics.
especially if she's supposed to be a highly literate high schooler and she's doodling cartoons in the margins and like using different fonts and laying it all out like a comic book. It looks more like something a 5th or 6th grader would have put together. And we're
Yeah.
supposed
Almost
to
like
believe
that's the target demographic.
It's just some dumb YA crap of, oh, she zaps people and sends them to perpetual detention
Like, is
for
anyone
all
else-
eternity.
I feel like Lizzy McGuire did this better, as far as having that alter ego that
and
says
Lizzy McGuire's alter
id.
ego was less mean about it.
It's
like,
just pure wish fulfillment.
Yeah.
That's all it is. There's
It's-
nothing real about any of this. We're supposed to think she's, this plain girl who no one pays attention to. And
she's pining after the popular jock boy
who's
and
got the
she's-
Zac Efron haircut, even
who's
though
in freshman English for some reason.
Yeah, but she's still got a perfectly symmetrical face and all. And
Wears makeup the entire time. She has nicely curled hair. It does not
but
frizz.
the popular girls wear more makeup, so they're evil, you see.
Well, no, they wear a darker shade of eyeliner. That's how you can tell.
Evil!
No one is ever, like, realistically plain in these movies, mainly because Disney got a brand they got to sell on their channel. Where is the ill-fitting screen print tease that defined my freshman experience? And the sad French braid that went off to the side of my head because I was trying something new that day.
Yeah.
Where's that?
Where's the unwise lip gloss color?
Where is me frantically putting blue shimmer lip gloss on my face because I wanted to look cool like a drowning victim because it was 2005?
Where are the hair ties you would wear as bracelets just in case you needed one?
And
Hey, that's today.
And where's my dorky ass wandering through the halls and muttering about Weird Al? Give us.
There you are. You're right there.
I was supposed to be
there I
playing
am.
Yu-Gi-Oh, damn it.
It is a power fantasy in one sense, not just that it's about a girl who has a power fantasy and then the power fantasy takes over.
Oh, yeah, she becomes a psychotic. She
Tyler
gets
Durden.
schizophrenia by the end of this.
Yeah, it's like cross between Lizzy McGuire and Tyler Durden. It's pretty creepy.
Is anyone
actually.
else getting Chris Paolini flashbacks for
Yeah.
undeserved
And they were-
attention as a high schooler?
It's a movie about a shitty writer whose shitty writing becomes a bestseller. That's the self-insert character.
Yeah, well-
this is a self-insert character within a self-insert character.
Well, the self-insert character is that the shitty writer, the Jamie character, she is a power fantasy herself because her tiniest whims, little toss-aside words, have huge consequences for the people around her. She is the only person in the narrative with any agency, and it's up to her to decide who to save and who to destroy. And all of the adults around her, by the way, completely incompetent. They live or die by her whims.
The
What
dad makes these
Terrible
inedible
pizzas.
pizzas.
That's his character trait, his one.
And the guy's fucking corralling his teenage daughter's friends into working for him, violating child labor laws.
And he doesn't even start paying them until halfway through the movie.
Ooh, prune pizza. Ooh, liver pizza.
Ooh,
Chicken
chili.
foot pizza.
Let's make sawdust pizza. And, ooh, furniture pizza. That'll be nice.
Clearly, this movie was made before the days of Instagram food. Today, that would be all over social media.
Pizza is the easiest food in the world to get right.
Why are you fancying yourself Gordon Ramsay or something?
You could, and it's not
elaborate...
even like, oh, we're going to make a pate encrusted crust with a
No,
truffle
liver and
infused
onions.
cheese.
With just a hint of truffle salt.
It's
Oh.
just putting the shit on top of the pizza. Liver and onions pizza wouldn't have been bad if you went the French onion route. You do like a bunch of Gruyere.
Speaking as the son of a former pizza owner, my
Yeah.
dad used to manage and still is a co-owner of a pizza place in San Francisco called Escape from New York Pizza. Go check it out if you're ever in San Francisco.
Super good
and,
stuff.
That place actually invented an offbeat pizza called You Say Potato, which is a pizza with little slices of potato on it. It's actually really good.
It's tasty.
Morgan and Charlie have both had it.
What's the male version of the Bechdel test? Because this movie...
This fails spectacular.
Oh,
No,
yeah,
yeah.
this is like Bridesmaids. Like, no two male characters ever talk to each other.
About anything except a woman.
Oh, speaking of which, Morgan, how do you feel about liver pizza?
Liver is expensive, so it's
That's
no
true.
wonder he
And now
can't-
that two women have had a conversation about something that's not a man, this podcast has passed the Bechdel test.
Bechdel test, motherfuckers!
We did it! Haley, look, we'll do it again. Okay. Oh my god, I'm drawing a blank. It was true!
If this had just been 5 years later, it totally would have been the story of a YouTuber.
Yeah,
Who goes
which
viral.
actually would have worked better. I can't help rewriting it in my head, but it would have been the story of a YouTuber who has a private YouTube channel where she vlogs about her life. By accident, the channel is made public one day, and by the time she realizes it, it's gone viral, and it changes the lives of
It
everybody.
doesn't
in
even
her
have to
life.
be private. It can just be unpopular, just like a nothing YouTube channel, because there
Yeah.
are millions of those.
Yes.
And then suddenly one video becomes viral and everyone finds her backlog, and then that's all she wrote.
That would make for a better story, I think.
But YouTube didn't exist as it is now when
Right.
this movie was made.
Right.
Yeah, I think I remembered another Disney Channel original movie recently having that exact plot where someone's YouTube
I'm sure
channel
it
goes
did.
viral or something.
That was the plot they gave the Gem reboot.
Was
That's
it
right.
really?
Yes.
That's right.
Oh my
And by
God.
going viral, it means she got 300,000 hits.
That's
Oh,
cute.
wow.
The Gem and the Holograms
300,000 whole hits. Earth-shattering.
Yeah,
I mean, granted, I've never gotten
She
that
gets
many.
offered a Sell Your Soul Hollywood music deal because her first video, uploaded without her knowledge, got 300,000 hits in 1 week.
That's totally how it
Is
works.
that movie better than this one?
I've
I-
never seen it.
I
Is it-
didn't
I
see
haven't
it.
heard it.
Can we add that to the rotation?
I
Oh,
don't
God.
think it's on Disney
I
Plus.
think it's a Universal movie anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
Can we do
Universal.
this with Peacock?
You know what? That can be your spin-off. Dang it. Escape from the Universal Vault. I can't wait for your episode on Doolittle and cats.
Yo!
Do we want to talk about how the school cafeteria scene was obviously shot in an office complex?
Either an office complex
Or
or
a college student union.
And there's neon signs for the different types of food on the wall.
an
No.
abandoned mall.
I couldn't tell whether it was supposed to be a school cafeteria or a mall food court.
It screamed office complex.
I
to
have never
me,
had a
and
cafeteria
the
that
set-
nice.
The high school itself was clearly just moving desks into a conference room, complete with
Yeah.
glass walls of the sort you don't see in any high school. There was one scene specifically in the house where the wall moved. Their sets were so flimsy.
I'm not going to
She-
nitpick that.
She
Just-
tries to slam the door, and the whole wall shakes.
That's a you should have used a different take thing. The sets are all flimsy on every soundstage. Sorry to ruin the magic.
They're on these things called flats, kids.
And let's talk about the ducky of this whole
Oh
enterprise.
my sweet lord. Poor Widow Bowl Cut.
The blonde bowl cut boy whose name I refuse to remember.
I guarantee half of us mixed him up with the brother multiple times because they
than
were
likely.
both blonde.
Oh yeah, the brother who's a musician, and everyone keeps saying, "Oh, he's such a good musician. Why doesn't he play in front of anybody?"
He's a very
but
self-conscious
all we ever
musician.
hear him play is dung 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 dung.
I'll get to the brother in a bit, but
He just
this-
plays glycerine over and over again, basically.
Yeah.
Honestly, out of all the characters in this movie, my favorite one was the musician brother. He was the only one with an arc that I actually cared about.
Well, he looked kind of like Garrett, which was a bit distracting.
He did.
Our friend Garrett Snook, who I'm sure will show up on this podcast eventually.
If everybody's following me on the Patreon, you know I've already released a song demo. So I'm trying to break into the music thing myself. So I don't know if that's necessarily a thing that connects with me.
It's the same arc as Marty McFly. He's too nervous to perform in front of people, but then he gets literally another Under the Sea dance. Every fucking dance in movies is Enchantment Under the Sea, like in this one. And there were some elaborate decorations for this.
That was an impressive
One of
whale.
which literally becomes a plot point because it's a giant whale, which it turns out is full of seaweed because one of the girl's friends is an activist who is angry at everything.
And
Like
she's
literally
not-
every
Save
scene.
the bunnies!
Every scene there's a different protest she's about to go to.
Oh, she's not like an angry activist. She's just that is her trait.
Right.
The best
That's
friends
her
get
one character
get
trait.
one trait. One is an artist and one is an activist, and I love both of them. They should have been the main characters.
The best friend going like, I have a snorkel. That made me laugh. That was actually a good line delivery.
I love the point where they were like, "We should fill the whale with seaweed for activism," and then the
Do
artist
like
was
a
like,
Brian De Palma Carrie ending.
"Yes."
Except this time, the seaweed falls on all these damn
Like-
wiener kids, and they still keep dancing.
I think it improves the decor. It
And
makes
the
it look like an
whale-
underground
and
club.
the whale is intact again, which is a continuity error.
Yeah, because they pull a rope and the whale breaks apart to
The
like.
whale like
Yeah.
Pull all
opens
the
its
seaweed
mouth
out.
and
And
swings,
go, da, 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 da,
and
da.
it flings seaweed on all the main characters,
And then the seaweed gets on the pizza, which is dumb.
which makes the Instagram food that the dad was searching for the
The
whole
Nori
time.
Desu pizza.
Yeah, apparently the seaweed pizza is really good.
The kid fucking wipes the seaweed off his clothes and it gets on the pizza.
Yeah, the brother
So even
character.
if that's good
That's not
seaweed,
sanitary.
even if that was edible and tasty, yeah, it's not sanitary. It's been
As far
on the
as
fucking
we
kid's
know,
clothes.
activist girl just grabbed it from the ocean.
Yeah.
Is
Randomly
this set
went-
in
all
Innsmouth?
and after the last scene in this movie, all the kids get a horrible disease and then die. Happy ending.
No, it's Innsmouth disease. They become the deep
They
ones.
become zombies.
Which, by the
They
way,
become the fishmen.
It's the zombie apocalypse.
I looked up the filming location for this high school, and it is a high school
Really?
in Utah.
That makes all of the sense.
So,
So
they're
this-
nowhere near a beach or whales.
So the Mormons
Where did the
took
kelp
care of
come
this
from?
movie.
I know nitpicking inaccuracies is just the cheapest of low-hanging fruit.
Go right
But
ahead. That's what this show's for.
The The entire, like, oh, she's turned to the dark side angle is kicked off by her having a handler for her book tour.
Right.
I follow a lot of authors on Twitter. I follow Jenny Trout, Elisa Hansen. They usually only have quote-unquote handlers for the book tour. And when they get back home, that handler goes back to their home. And then you might have an agent that you email, or you might have a publisher that you email.
Or an editor who will send you notes on
But
your
it's
latest draft.
A Hollywood person, because it's a Hollywood person, it's not a New York publishing
Right.
person.
Right.
You know,
There
I
the
meant-
whole time is such a fabrication.
I mentioned my dad ran a pizza place. My mom worked in publishing, so this movie should speak to me.
Yeah.
And yet...
You have seen how the sausage is made.
Oh,
Both-
yes.
Yeah, it doesn't speak to
My
you. It
dad-
more yells
my
at you.
father's
Or
an author.
I've seen how the seaweed is made that goes on the pizza.
The story is not about a writer. This is a story about celebrity. The writing is just a reason for her to become famous, and they could have just have easily had it be like a song she recorded that went viral,
Right.
or it could
It's
be
just
metaphor
a
for
thing
fame.
that falls into their lives that makes her famous.
Yeah, without it-
I just realized something. This is female blank check.
Oh my God, you're right. I only saw Blank Check once. Blank Check is on Disney Plus.
Oh my god!
Wouldn't it be amazing if we got that next? Ugh, I just jinxed it. Now we'll never get it.
Yeah, because
Oh
Blank
my
Check basically has the same plot.
Again, you know, it could be a book she wrote. It could be $1 million.
The point is, it's not something they try to do.
What
Right.
if the best-selling book was
Right.
Flabbity Blue?
Well,
It's
because
not
only
done out of ambition, because
Right.
if they tried to do that, they would have always been that person who
No,
was
she's
ambitious
just
for
that
fame.
unique and special, and her writing is just that good.
Can we talk about that little bowl cut incel for a bit?
She
Okay.
literally puts her boot on him.
He's trying to talk to her before the popular guy does, like, no! And then he trips over himself.
He
and then
attempts
to
to-
get him to shut up, she literally steps on him.
In her high-heeled
in her
purple boots.
high-heeled boots.
That is my second favorite shot in the movie.
I don't know why the incels haven't latched onto this movie.
Give them time.
Because the nice guy actually gets the girl at the end, and they would be like, verisimilitude compromise.
Yeah, like literally all I have in my notes
I'm an
because
intellectual.
I did not catch this character's name until like literally half an hour before the ending. All I have in my notes for this kid's name is Lame Boy. This kid goes through all the motions of somebody who is just trying his best not to get friend zoned and gets friend zoned anyway.
Because he doesn't actually come out and ask her.
No.
Like,
And by the
'cause
time
he's
he
50.
does, by the time he does, it's way too late in the narrative of the film. But more importantly, this kid's brother is like 40.
Oh, yeah.
oh, yeah.
Like, that's got to be like a half-brother or dad's first wife.
I thought for sure it was
situation.
the kid's dad.
Exactly.
And then he says, well, why doesn't dad take you to the dance? Wait, that's his brother? What the fuck?
He's either a character from the books, so there's a backstory there, or there's a version of the script where that was the dad, but the actor objected, saying, I'm not that old.
All right, we'll
I mean-
rewrite you as the brother and make sure that
I
put in
had
there
a-
that the dad's lame.
My high school football coach had a son who was 20 years older than his daughter because it was two separate marriages. Like,
Right.
that's not impossible. It's just really funny to look at in
Yeah,
the movie
yeah, but the
without
way-
explaining it.
Yeah, but the way they characterize it, he's still living at home. He doesn't seem to have a job.
He peaked in high school, so now he's living vicariously through his incel younger brother.
God. I don't know which is sadder in that case.
Like you said, it's really a movie about fame, especially how fame affects young people. And like all movies about how fame affects young people, it's got that scene where her friends want her to show up for their stupid little thing, and she's too busy for the stupid little thing, and they're like, you've changed, man. It's like, fuck you.
Does
A
no one
true
have a
friend would
day
understand
planner?
that she's successful now, and she's got bigger fish to fry. If she's really your friend, she will find time for you.
Does no one have a day planner, and does no one communicate?
Not
'Cause,
one
like,
person.
They are children. They are 15. I will allow them emotional outbursts that are not entirely logical.
Fine.
The script
Where are the
doesn't allow
parents?
that.
The parents have
Well,
no
the dad-
care whatsoever what happens in their kids' extracurriculars.
Well, the dad is putting asbestos on pizza, and the mom looks like she's 24.
the mom is a groupie for George Jackson.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh my god, that industry party scene that was fucking pointless and went nowhere.
Like, they even have like something of an okay boomer moment in there where she's just like, oh my god, I like that person. I have all his albums. Like, don't ever say that word again.
Right.
Or,
She's
groovy
well,
or
she's like,
cool.
what's an album?
What's an album? It's 2006. I don't know what albums are.
All
CDs still
Had
existed.
Spotify even existed
No.
yet at that point? It's like
Napster might have existed.
Well,
Well,
Napster has been around since.
at the time it was iTunes. iTunes was the big
Yeah.
thing
Well,
in 2006.
iTunes was just taking Napster and letting people pay
Right.
99 cents for it,
and
not,
that's how people were getting their music at the time. So
But
what
like,
is
and
she
they
talking
were sold
about?
It
in
looks
album
like-
form.
Exactly.
all parents in these kinds of movies are a very certain kind of boomer, no matter how young or old that parent
Yeah,
might look.
her
Did you think
mom
there was like a
was-
20-year age difference between the dad and the mom?
Oh,
'Cause that's what
absolutely.
it looked like.
Oh yeah.
And the dad can't act, of course.
He's also the dad in Even Stevens. I remember that.
Oh, really? Okay. So Jamie, the main girl, meets this celebrity who she's really into, and they get their hair tangled in each other's. How would?
Her hair got caught in the girl's tiara.
Okay, and then they got to go to the dressing room, and it turns out, oh, the celebrity I've been worshiping is a huge bitch.
And then the celebrity that played the villain on the show that I don't like is actually really nice and chill.
It's telling
And
kids everything you see is bullshit, including this.
Well, I feel like that would be
Like, the mean girl in this film is probably a very nice person, and the girl who plays the main character is probably horrible and drowns puppies
there
and
are
shit.
3 types of girls that exist in this sort of high school fantasy universe. There's the special snowflake, who is the main character. There is only one in the world. There's the sidekicks, who are entirely dependent on like they hang on her.
who have no other friends.
Who have no other
no
friends.
other support system.
Nothing else going on in their lives.
Literally
Nothing
nothing
whatsoever.
else. And then there's the mean popular girls of the sort that
And their friendships aren't real.
their friendships aren't real. Yeah, and they have no inner life.
You know, I'm starting to understand why Disney Channel audiences were blown away by High School Musical. Because
This was such a low bar.
if this was the only other shit on the network at the time, yeah, the amount of effort that High School Musical exerted must have just blown their minds. Oh my god! Actual choreography!
Singing and dancing at the same time.
and oh my god, effort.
Yep.
Put into this and
And it's this-
talent.
It's
You
this
know, I think that Zac Efron kid might be going places.
Exactly.
The cute kid in this movie who she pines after looks exactly like Zac Efron.
Exactly like
it's
Zac
not,
Efron.
but he was made from the same plaster cast mold
He
in
was
which
given the
Disney
same
manufactures all their Disney Channel stars.
He was given the same exact haircut.
Only one Seth Rogen liked more, so there
Yeah.
you go.
And High School Musical has a very similar plot structure and world development. There is world building in these kind of high school movies because, like we said, this is not real.
Yeah.
But it just has that added plasticity of being a musical, so it's more palatable that way.
The brother is the only subplot in the movie that kind of works because you do get a sense right off the bat that there's something deeper going on with him than just the part of himself he lets his sister see. He has a life outside of her, and he seems to be the only person in the entire world who does.
He also feels like a guy who doesn't wash his ass well because he thinks it's gay.
Yeah.
What?
He has such a
Is that a Southern colloquialism?
No, that's an internet thing.
Oh, okay.
There's stories
No,
on
I
Reddit of
get-
dudes who are afraid to wash their ass because they think
Really?
it's gay.
Yeah, there's also a guy who had a girlfriend who posted this long Reddit diatribe about how he never washed his genitals because he thought that was gay.
So I don't know how we got on this sidetrack.
I'm just saying,
Look,
there's
it was either read it and weep or this.
in the brother's introduction.
I
There was
don't-
a very no girls allowed vibe, or no homo vibe, if you will.
Well, the fact that his hair is always immaculately styled and gelled, I couldn't figure out if that was because he was a Disney guy or if that was supposed to be an actual thing. Because
Why not both?
No straight teenager spends.
he is kind of a
that.
John Mayer knockoff.
Yeah.
For the record, we're not talking about you, Garrett.
This movie has such weird cinematography. Can we go into like the weird zooms
Oh my
and
God.
Dutch angles and
It was
like
out of focus half the time. There were like a handful of scenes where the camera was just straight up out of focus.
It was
and all the
either
characters
out
were
of focus
blurry.
or moving for no reason.
Right.
Like there were so many crash zooms.
This director
just
decided
did not
this was
care.
his chance to be an artiste because no one was going to stop him. Someone should have stopped him.
I just looked up the cinematographer for this, Gordon Lonsdale. He was the cinematographer on High School Musical.
Oh my God! They just kept them all in a pen, didn't they?
Also, Life is Rough, Go Figure, Down in Derby, like a
Are these
bunch-
all Disney Channel movies?
all Disney
Okay.
Channel movies.
Scenes that are not that tense are shot like it's heat. Like
Yeah.
the scene before she has the meltdown on live TV, not during the live meltdown, but before it, was shot so frenetically and the camera kept moving and changing angles.
Yeah, and the person she's talking to keeps disappearing and reappearing somewhere else to make it even
Well,
more
that's the
disorienting.
Tyler Durden thing. I
Yeah.
actually don't mind that conceit as something to play with. I just don't think it was executed well.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing is, it's her alter ego, it's her figment of her imagination, but it's subsuming how she thinks and feels, and it's becoming her outer ego. So I like that it's kind of disorienting in how they shot that. But I think they
Well,
should have
should we
kept
talk
it
about the
all in her head.
Should we talk about the psychopathy of how she sees her alter ego is? Because it's not just like a voice in her head or something. She physically sees a physical person there who to her has weight and dimension even though no one else can see it.
Played by the actress's sister,
Yeah,
which I
but
think
the-
was
the two-
very interesting.
That was an interesting choice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
well-
they look alike. Is played by Danielle Panabaker, who is Killer Frost in Flash,
Okay.
BT Dubs, and she's the older sister of the main character's actress here. So she looks older, more put together. She's always
More mature.
better, quote unquote, dressed.
Right.
Because this was the audience.
More makeup, obviously. More lip gloss.
she
Lots
looks
more glitter and shinier clothes.
In this movie, shiny lips mean evil. At the dance scene, it gets to the point where she actually sees another person there as is, and she's talking to nothing, and the other kids are looking at her like, what's her problem?
Now, there is my favorite shot in the film is like
Right.
she's dragging the alter
Dragging the
ego.
alter ego, and then she passes behind some people, and the alter ego disappears, but then she passes behind more people, and she reappears.
It's made to look like one continuous shot. They did that shot, and they're like, "Oh, we should do this direction for the whole thing."
They got that shot, and then they stopped trying.
There's a really long shot in the pizza parlor with like 5 characters and they're having this big conversation. They make it look like one cut, but the camera keeps moving around because this director hasn't met a cinema trick he didn't want to use. So he does the thing where the alter ego character chimes into the conversation and the camera moves away from her and then moves back and she's not there. And all I can think is, I bet they actually did that practically. For that one bit, they moved the actress into place, had her hit her mark, say her line, moved the camera off of her and moved her back, and then they were giving each other high fives.
Poor Danielle was just running behind the camera for half this movie,
Yes.
trying to get in different shots.
Yeah, because they're like, we could cheat it in editing, but if we do it practically, that really adds to the gravitas and weight of this Disney Channel original movie we're making.
That no one's going to see except for snarky douchebags 15 years later.
But it's harder.
Hello.
It's harder, which makes it better.
After it's revealed that she based it all on her friends and now everyone at school hates her, then there's a scene of them at the pizza parlor waiting for another book signing and no one's showing up and no one's buying the book. Why would anyone outside the school care? This is a national bestseller. Why does anyone give a shit?
Because the whole world is the school. For
That's the metaphor they're going for.
Is the only person in the entire movie with any power.
Is love, is life.
The is stands for solipsism. I think, therefore I is.
And then they actually try to get pathos out of the prospect that the horrible pizza place might fail.
Maybe Ralph should just open a grocery store.
Yeah, God forbid he doesn't get to sell his drywall pizza anymore.
Yeah, but don't they mention in this movie that she has something of a trust fund or something of
Yeah,
like,
she's a best-selling
continuous-
author. There's a lag time in the publishing industry before you get paid.
She would have gotten an advance when she signed the deal,
Yes.
and
Exactly.
then she would have gotten residuals and royalties that would have probably gone all into her trust fund as someone under 18. However, I got news for y'all. If it's a working class family owning a rundown pizza restaurant, she ain't gonna have no trust fund. That's just all gonna go to the family, y'all.
The dad,
That's working at the mill.
he was the Joe Jackson of pizza makers. This film has very mixed and contradictory opinions over whether the kids at the school are real people or stereotypes. Because after they all cancel her, I mean, first of all, it's got that great Fox News reference when she's reading the fucking school paper and she's like, this isn't fair and balanced. I watch The Daily Show. I'm 15.
Yeah,
If you were 15 and watched The Daily Show, you would have better jokes.
But then she reads that Blondie McBoldcut wrote an op-ed in the fucking school letter section saying, hey, she was right. We really are all stereotypes who were mean to her, and she was the only one who was telling the truth.
It wasn't even that we were mean to her. The problem was she just saw us for who we really are. We really are jocks and geeks and mean girls. She's
cases.
She's the only special one.
But then at the dance, she apologizes and says, I'm sorry, you're not really jocks and geeks. I was wrong. I was the wrong one. You are all individuals. I'm not. Shut up!
A teary mascara running YouTube video.
Which,
The
again,
Logan Paul
it
apology video.
It would be so much better if it was a YouTube channel.
My favorite extra in that entire dance scene was the girl doing air quotes throughout the entire speech. She is my hero. I love her. The most realistic thing about this movie, though, is the school dance lesbian loophole, which I employed multiple times in my high school.
Wait, what now?
Okay,
Huh?
so for most school dances, at least the ones I grew up with, it costs a lot if you're going single, but there's a discount if you go as a couple, which encourages people to ask others out for this dance. Now, say you are a perpetual wallflower and don't know you are demisexual yet, and no one asks you to the dance. You and your friends who are in a similar situation are like, okay, we're just gonna all register as couples together, so we get the cheaper tickets, we can split it, and we'll have a group to go with for the dance. I call it the lesbian loophole just because you're registering as a couple.
And then the dance turns into an orgy.
Yep.
Sure.
Or in this
but
case-
you do see the group of kids that don't
A
get
seaweed orgy.
romantically inclined yet. They all grow as a group, and that is the most realistic thing in this movie.
Everything is better down where it's wetter.
Hey, now. Also, I thought
You're an
Activist
all-star?
Girl was totally going to get with the brother because they were totally setting that up.
That would be a little bit too much agency on the part of a character who's not the main character. She can't have a romantic subplot of her own.
Not if she's saving whales, man.
They're friends of the sort that have no opinions of their own.
And when the main character steps out of their life, suddenly they're in chaos and they're putting seaweed and paper mache decorations because that's how little they can stand to be without the one friend who's the center of the universe. They don't know what else they're doing.
They were actually kind of doing better. Like, look at the whale they put together. Like, that was
They were
actually
having a
pretty
fun
She
time
was-
without her.
The main character was holding them back, man.
Yeah, and they were mostly excited for her to come to the protest because it meant, oh, we got a
She
famous
was
person.
she was an endorsement.
Right,
Yeah.
they were using her. They were using her fame just like everyone else in the movie was.
Yeah, and they even say, like, oh, let her sit with the popular kids. As long as she shows up to the protest, we can put up with that.
Yeah.
Wow,
Oh,
great
God.
endorsement of your friendship with her.
We are told that Activist Girl is a great organizer,
Right.
but she does precious little organizing. She just passes out flyers.
And
Or
then
dumps them out of a whale.
The activist girl is finally giving an actual speech. And it's just, save the bunnies. Don't experiment on helpless bunnies. Look how cute they are. Who could possibly hurt a really cute little bunny?
you can experiment on the non-cute animals all you want. They're
Yeah, it's just like
Why?
it's
Because fish
animal
smell.
Cute
testing
things
is
are
bad
more
because
important.
aesthetics.
Show, don't
experiment
tell.
on octopuses all you want.
Earlier in this podcast, I mentioned the term Mary Sue, which I really don't want to use because it is a self-insert character and a power fantasy within a power fantasy. It is a story where the teenage girl has all of the power. I see the appeal and value of those kinds of stories, especially to young girls who can often feel very disempowered and like people around them barely even notice when they do anything. Everybody notices everything about this girl.
Yeah.
It's a very small world. If the whole movie took place inside her head.
Charlie, you just...
I am resisting
Okay.
for the sake of this podcast.
We're warning
What are
you,
you
that's
doing?
You mentioned a world of a certain size.
El mundo pequeño.
Murder. I will turn this podcast around and make you watch this movie again.
Oh, God, no.
Is said the word figments of imagination.
Oh,
So-
fuck
you,
We are all
Joe,
right.
Mike.
We need to end this podcast before we kill each other. And on that note, I think it's time for a little feature of this podcast that I like to call "What's the Attraction?"
There is no attraction. There is nothing
there
attractive about this.
Well, there will be once this becomes the most watched title on Disney Plus.
Oh, yeah.
And Disney realizes, hey, we got to put this in the park somehow. How are they going to do that? Morgan.
They're going to install special mirrors in the shops that replace your reflection with a taller, thinner, better styled
Your better
version.
looking older sister.
Yes, your better looking older sister who is then going to follow you around all day, judging everything you do.
I would like to note Kay Panabaker is not ugly or plain. She is just much younger than her
Right.
sister.
Yeah, she looks
And
fine.
she has the face
And
of a
they
little
keep-
girl.
She's always got lipstick on, even when she doesn't. And anyway,
Yeah.
Charlie, what's the attraction?
My attraction is a future layover for the Seas with Nemo and Friends. Only toward the end of the ride, before you hit the aquarium, you get an entire whale's worth of seaweed and flyers dumped on you. And instead of the Pixar Finding Nemo characters projected into the aquarium, it's the one kid following you weirdly on the track singing that song instead of the Big Blue World song.
But he's in the aquarium and
He's in
drowning.
the
They just
aquarium.
put the actor.
They
in
put the actor in the
and
aquarium.
he's just not
No.
even a scuba head. He's
No.
just drowning. Haley.
They will modify the Disney app to steal all of your personal diary entries, and they will announce them on the Main Street intercom service that they will install to play out a Ghost Town Alive style dramatization of your diary entries.
Oh my god, I love this.
Well, unfortunately, you're all wrong.
Hooray.
What they are going to do is they are going to use a giant crane to pick up all of Disneyland and move it to Utah.
I mean, Utah needs the tourism, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
Screw Monument Valley.
There's only so much skiing a person can do. So much skiing and scenery.
So,
Splash Mountain will become a seasonal ride.
what's our final verdict, guys? Is this movie, Read It and Weep, a Disney Plus or Disney Minus? Haley?
Disney minus.
Charlie?
I'm just kind of like a Disney indifferent.
You got to
Disney's-
choose one or the other.
All
It's a
right.
Disney neutral.
No fence sitters.
No offense. All right, I have to go with the minus side. It's so bland. It's like a 90-minute Quaalude.
Mean Girls did it better.
Exactly, and Mean Girls did it far better.
Mean Girls actually had something to say about the society it was critiquing. This one is just, wow, it sure is great to be nice to people and have friends.
Morgan, Disney Plus or Disney Minus?
Hard minus.
Well, it is unanimous. I gotta agree with y'all. This is a Disney Minus. It's not a book, it's a TV movie, so we didn't read it, but we sure as hell did weep.
We wept and we aged 10 years in 90 minutes.
We aged 14 years since this aired in 2006, and now we're all old. Morgan, you got anything you want to plug?
No, I don't think so.
Charlie?
Watch my show, Theme Snark and Friends. It's the channel. Subscribe today, Patreon, all that good stuff.
Haley?
Watch my channel and subscribe. It's called Trickster Bell. I am the Miss Frizzle of art, history, and Disney, or I at least try to be.
Definitely follow both of these people. They are great.
And follow me on Twitter at Tony Goldmark, and watch my YouTube channel. I got a bunch of fun videos there. And of course, you can listen to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Google Play, iTunes, Spotify, you know all the usual locations. We are also on pipedreampodcast.com, along with one of my favorite podcasts, The Weird Alphabet. And if you pledge to my Patreon, patreon.com/Tony Goldmark, you can get episodes a day early. You can hear episodes on Tuesday instead of Wednesday. And that's if you pledge any amount to my Patreon, even just $1 a month, the bare minimum. You can get episodes of Escape from Walt Disney one day early. So, Haley, are you ready to read what the randomizer is choosing for us next week?
I very much am.
All right, Smart House, initiate random shuffle mode, please.
Initiating random shuffle mode,
Make a selection.
and the winner is
Rocket and Groot from 2016.
Thank
Rocket and Groot
God.
from 2016. I know that's a TV thing. Is that a 22-minute show or a series of shorts? Let's check it out. Let's search for Rocket and Groot.
They're shorts.
Oh, they're shorts. We'll just binge the whole series of shorts.
Okay.
Join us next week on Escape from Walt Disney when we shall be covering the complete series of Rocket and Groot shorts. Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier.
Yeah, they are.
Literally.